on Instagram. Okay. YouTube, you got me? YouTube, I feel like the lighting situation. I'm hiring a production crew. So if you do lights, camera, and action, come see about me. Or just text me and tell me which ring light to get. Ah, I have a ring light. It's in my car. Okay. Anyway, any hoot. Yesterday we read All the Places You'll Go, and I told you how to make a compelling and energizing and beautiful and wonderful. Forgot the wording that I used, but how to create a banging read aloud. And All the Places You'll Go has so many affirming words, like so many affirmations that are just built in. Great for kids, great for adults, great for anybody experiencing transition. Today I wanted to come on and I wanted to tell you a story. Okay, so you might be like, Cassandra, like you're an educator. Why are you so interested in welcome? Let's talk about the time my 3-day-old baby was called aggressive. That's what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to try to, it's not fresh because he's 3 years old now, but I'm going to try to, I get a little stirred. Emotions get to flowing just thinking about it. But I wanted to talk to you parents about the power of language, the power of your mouth, the power of the words that you speak. We will speak life to our children because we want them to live. We want them to live abundantly. We want them to live and thrive and flourish. So we will speak life. So remember, right, if you don't know Josiah's story, I'm going to give it to you. It might not be fast. I'm just going to give you the story. So I found out that I was having Josiah, and then at my 20-week appointment, which was actually 21 weeks because sis was outside. I went to Colombia, not Columbia, Missouri. I went to Colombia, the country, Cartagena to be exact. And anyway, all right, let me get the story back. Colombia was amazing. I was like, I'm pregnant, but I'm still outside and I can still kick it. Kick it meaning travel and enjoy my friends and enjoy a lot of fun. And so I got back to the US and I was like, all right, now it's the time to I'm in my second trimester. Now it's time to, get ready for the thing that's happening, the baby is coming, and get excited. And I was excited, but, share more and just be outside with my baby bump. So I went to my appointment and I'm like, I read up, if they don't call you back, everything is good. If they call you, it's probably because they need to check something. So they called me the day after my ultrasound for my 20-week appointment and told me to come drive 30 minutes for an appointment so they could tell me something. And I'm like, just tell me. Like, I can handle it. Just tell me. And my doctor insisted that I actually drive. So I'm like, okay. It's raining. I'm pregnant. Let me take a family friend. Shout out to Miss Melinda. So we went to the appointment and the doctor was like, well, the sonographer noticed what we think might be an abnormality. And it seems like what we call and consider spina bifida. And I'm like, spina who? What are you saying? I was kind of irritated because you could have told me this on the phone. And I don't know what you're saying anyway. So she had some printouts and some paperwork. I'm flipping through the pages as she's explaining. It's kind of like a want, because I realize that this is serious. Like, this is something I'm going to have some follow-up screenings and some follow-up tests and see multiple people. And I'm like, I'm getting emotional right now. I was like, what? What? I'm just like, I just got back from vacation. I'm just supposed to sit here and have my baby. And so I remember walking out of the office, having heard what she said, but also I have this paperwork. I'm going to look at it, but not too in depth, because you're telling me you don't really know if he even has it. Is that we need to do more tests, because it looks like. And so I remember God saying he's healed. I remember it was like Charlie Brown's womp, 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 when, or however they sound, when the woman was speaking, the woman being the doctor. But I heard God say he is healed. And you ever hear something so, it's not like an auditory voice. It's a deep knowing. And I knew we gonna be all right. And I remember stepping out of the office. I was cool, calm, and collected. I'm sure Miss Melinda was like, what is she thinking? What is she feeling? What's going on? And I remember a single tear streaming down my face. I had one tear. That's all I was going to spend, because we didn't know for sure. And God had already told me he was healed. And I didn't really understand all this stuff anyway. So what was I about to cry about when I was going to stand on the promise of God that he was healed? So, yeah, so then I went through and did all the tests, and I had to go, drive an hour here, 2 hours there, to really confirm that the diagnosis was accurate. So shout out to my sonographer. In fact, I went back and told her thank you, because it was just a slight, like, she could have been like, nah, it's okay. Or she picked up on it and alerted the doctor, and the doctor alerted me, and we got on top of it. And what I found out in the next 3 weeks was that, yes, this diagnosis was accurate. It was spina bifida. It was the most severe kind, which I always forget how to pronounce, myelomeningocele. Hey! Myelomeningocele. That is how you pronounce it. I did it right. Myelomeningocele. I'm writing it for myself, and this is not how they spell it. So I found out, it was the most severe kind. And then I decided, you know what? I'm gonna do what they recommend. So they gave me my options. Number one was to have surgery before I was 26 weeks pregnant. So that meant having surgery in the next 3-4 weeks. Or I could have surgery once Josiah was born. Or they were like, you can go across state lines and have an abortion. Well, number 3 wasn't an option, because God gave me Josiah, and I had already gone through my acceptance and somewhat of a healing process, just to be like excited about being a new mom. So I knew that my 2 options really were have the surgery now or wait and have the surgery. And if anybody knows me, I'm not a waiter, and things that can be done. I'm not going to say, let's get it done. It can be done. Let's get it done. I have the gift of like acceleration and activation. I like to do things right away. So I'm like, cut me open. Come on, let's go. So the doctors scheduled they told me that they would schedule my appointment, and that I would be having surgery. This is my first surgery ever, besides like a dental surgery. And they would cut through me to get to Josiah to close up his spine, and then sew us both closed. And I would be on bed rest, and I would have to move and live in the city, St. Louis, live in St. Louis for the duration of my pregnancy, for the last trimester. And I was like, okay, cool. I know people in St. Louis. That's all right. And I was like, wait, bed rest? What you mean I got to sit down? Sit down? Like, I got to sit down? Whole nother story. I'll come back and talk about that. But I made a decision. I took some time and thought and prayed, but I knew, like, I'm not having an abortion, and I'm not going to wait, because as he grew in my belly, the damage or the effects could be damaging, could pull on his spine, could just create an issue that we would have to resolve when he was born anyway. I would have to be in the NICU for a week, and he'd have to have surgery fresh out of my womb. I thought about bonding time, and I thought about those things. I'm like, no, I'm gonna want to cuddle with my baby. So like, let's get this done. And then he can have 3 whole months to heal. And so can I. And then I know y'all gonna cut me back open because we had to do it by C-section. But then I can take my baby home, like y'all can check him out. We're gonna be good because God said he's healed, and then we can leave. So I'm getting to the point where a nurse called my baby aggressive at 3 days old. 3 days. So I get a call as I'm waiting for the surgery to happen. I'm like, okay, let me get these maternity photos and let me do this, let me do that, all the things. I'm like, I'm still gonna have this experience before I go sit my tail down somewhere. And it worked out that I was able to stay with a friend who I had met on the trip to Colombia. So all things really do work out for those who love God and serve him. And I was able to secure that's where I'm going to be staying and living. But then I got a call that one of the doctors, because there was going to be 12 doctors in the room, one of the doctors needed me to, or one of the doctors, one or two of them needed to reschedule. Like we needed to push the date up. So I remember getting a call, I think it was on a Thursday or Friday, that I was going to need to come for surgery on Monday versus the following week. And I'm like, whoa, okay. You can't like ask people to reschedule a surgery. So I'm like, all right, let's make it work. So I call my, the lady doing my maternity photos. And I ask her if she can move it up. And she says, yes. So I'm like, great. All right. So we move the date up. I think I got the call on a Thursday. We took the photos on a Friday. On Saturday, I was heading in for pre-op. Sunday was resting with my sister. Shout out to my sis. And then Monday, I went in for surgery. I went in for surgery on March 9th, 2020. March 9th, 2020. Anybody, does that ring a bell for anybody? Do y'all know what was happening March 9th of 2020? First of all, 2020. That's a hint. And then March. And then 9th. Right? March 9th, 2020, people in Washington state were noticing folks coughing and getting sick and all this. And then it was spreading to other states. Then it was on the East Coast, right? COVID was coming. March 9th, 2020, I went down for surgery. Surgery was successful. All was well. I rested. I was released on March 13th. March 13th is the official date. I mean, you can Google it. I don't know if it was called an official date, but it's when the world shut down. So everything shut down on March 13th. And that changed, although it was already in big transition, that changed my last trimester of pregnancy. I couldn't have many visitors. We didn't know what was going on with COVID. I couldn't be outside. I wasn't supposed to be outside anyway, but I was going to try to get outside. I couldn't be outside because outside was closed. St. Louis was not playing. Nothing was open. I went to doctor's appointments, sometimes with insurance transportation because I couldn't drive on my own and I didn't have a car in St. Louis. My car was back home. So St. Louis roads are very bumpy. So after you've had a surgery, I don't recommend. I recommend the hospital. They did a great job, but those roads are something different. So I felt every bump. Insurance transportation is what you make of it. It wasn't the greatest. Many a times I cried because the drivers weren't always nice and smoke. And I remember a guy had his kids in the car and we had to wear masks. And then when I got to the hospital, I remember one day I asked the driver if he could get the wheelchair for me right inside. Like I could see the wheelchair. I just was like, I'm gonna have to walk to go get to in the wheelchair. Maybe this nice gentleman who's driven me will go get the wheelchair and just bring it to the car. Essentially, he said no, and I slammed his door. Then I had to ask. No, I didn't even slam it. I left it open, so he would still have to get out of his car and close it. I'm not perfect. And then I would have an ultrasound every single week. I met with the head of surgery every single week. And the great thing about it was I was able to bond and connect with Josiah because I could feel him and I could see him. I got 3D ultrasounds anytime they would let me. I'd be like, could you print that? They had good snacks. Everybody was friendly. And I only had to, sit down with the team one time, twice. We'll talk about that later. I only had to sit down with them twice to talk about how to best care for me and my child. But let's fast forward to, I didn't plan to share this whole story. Let's fast forward to, I make it through the 3 months. I have a C-section. Josiah is born, and he's so cute and so juicy. And I'm like, I had a baby. He's in the NICU just so that they can run the standard test because I had surgery and he had surgery 3 months prior. And he's doing great. Day one, I hobble over to go check on my baby in the NICU, tell my sister, keep your eye on him. The nurses were like, he's so cute. Yes, but he's not your baby, so chill out. Because they were like, he is just so cute, so cute. I kept hearing it. I'm like, Erica, keep your eye on them, please. Day two, hobble over, spend time with Josiah. I'm learning to nurse. He has a catheter. Actually, day one, I nursed a little bit, or I tried to. And I'm learning to catheterize him, and which, if you don't know what that means, he wasn't able to, we were monitoring how he urinated on his own. Okay. Tough stuff for a new mom, NICU, COVID, all the things. But day three, I remember being over, and there was a particular nurse, and I could tell she knew a lot and was experienced, but she was the type of person who's like, I know more than you about everything. And in this situation, she knew more. She was a nurse. But I've also been watching him be catheterized for 3 days. And I'm a quick learner. I'm an educator. I'm a teacher. I'm intelligent. And so she was explaining what I needed to do. But she was explaining it differently than every other nurse. It was a very, it wasn't even condescending. There's a different word from it. Know-it-all. That's it. I was listening. I was like, I already heard this. I got to go pee. I'll be back and I'll help, I'll whatever. So I think I went to the restroom, came back, catheterized him. And she was just, oh no, it was before I went to use the restroom. She was like, well, you have to sterilize this and you have to da-da. And I'm like, I understand. I got it. And she's like, well, I can watch you do it. And so that was a whole different, like, watch me do it. I have to go pee. But I did, wash my hands, sanitize, everything was great. Catheterize him. She corrected every single thing I did. And she did it differently than the other nurses. So she talked about how the other nurses weren't doing it right. And I needed to make sure this and da-da-da for infection. I'm like, if anybody is concerned about infection after having been on bed rest for 3 months and in the NICU for 3 days, it would be me, sis. Chill out. So I didn't say that, but that was my disposition was changing. I was like, relax. Now, what I didn't say, I'm going to pause here, is that this was right around the time of Ahmaud Arbery's death. I forget the exact month and date that he was. I'm going to look it up. Actually, I like to be accurate. But I remember processing that on bed rest, knowing that a Black boy was in my womb. And I went through the process of mourning and grieving a child that I never met this man. I didn't know. I just knew his story. I don't think I really cared to look too intently at the video footage and all of the things. I just know I prayed for his mom, for his family, and prayed that justice would be served and something positive would come as a result. So he was killed on February 23rd, 2020. I this is before I went to surgery. I went into surgery March 9th. So I had a lot of time to process because Josiah was born in June, but it was still fresh. George Floyd, and I can run down the list of names. I am a Black woman in America, and it just all hit differently. So hopefully y'all get the setup, because I'm gonna tell you, by the time my baby was called aggressive, he was 3 days old. So I get to the where was I at? So the nurse is showing me this. Great. So I go use the restroom. I come back. I'm nursing Josiah, it's like, day 3 of me nursing, day 3 of him eating from me nursing. And I remember just like looking at his cute little face and just being like, man, this is a miracle. Like, quite literally, God, you said he's healed and we're here and this is beautiful. I love my baby. And oh my gosh, I'm a mom. This is wild. And just looking at him and feeding him. And the boy could eat. He could eat from day 1. So he could eat from day 1, 2, and 3. And on day 3, he was like, hey, he was like, he was nursing. And I said, ow. Because, nursing sometimes is painful. I knew that, and I was only a mom for 3 days. And the nurse had the gumption, the audacity, and the ignorance to say, oh, is he being aggressive? Like, is he being aggressive? And it took me completely out of my bonding moment. It took me completely out of, it didn't take me out of my body, but it took me out. And I just looked at her. No, he's eating. And I couldn't let it go, y'all. I wanted to let it go, but Miss Know-It-All faux condescension had already stirred and irritated me. And calling a 3-day-old baby who was nursing aggressive tipped me over the edge. I didn't care what she meant by it. I didn't care if she knew it was appropriate or inappropriate. I didn't care if she heard about Ahmaud Arbery. I didn't care if she was culturally or diversity, equity, and inclusion trained. I did not care. I wanted to speak to management. So I don't remember if I asked her to leave the room, but I know that my demeanor, my attitude shifted and she left. And then there was a series of somehow, I don't know, my sister asked or I asked, but we spoke with managers, whatever they're called. We spoke with the people and explained the situation and ensured that they understood that could not happen again. That nurse should not be back in here, and they needed to figure it out. I give you that scenario because I know it happens. And it wasn't just, I was not an exception. Like, this didn't just, oh my gosh, that never really happens. I know that happens where professional people who are meant to care for our children speak possibly out of experience, ignorance, or their own biases and background, and they speak over our children. It's not okay. I'll share another story another day because I got another one for you. I just want to say it's not okay. And as serious as I was about it not being okay for Josiah, I am that serious about it not being okay for your child. And you might be the one speaking, and that's got to be corrected. We're not going to call our children or say anything to our children we would not allow someone else to. And when someone else does, we get to correct them. So you will not call a 3-day-old black, brown, white, pink, yellow, purple, blue, orange baby aggressive when they are nursing because they're hungry. He was literally going after something that he needed. And I just want to let that sit because maybe you're a parent who has listened to your child's administrator or their teacher or their babysitter or their grandma or their cousin or their auntie, and you have heard your child spoken to or about in a way that is not in alignment with, it's not what you should accept. If your child has been called lazy or slow or dumb or passive or, aggressive or disrespectful. Like these words, I don't know if they're hitting you, but they're like hitting me in my chest because these are not words. These are not words that define God's gift to us in the form of children. So we got to correct it. We just got to correct it. So my correction was no, he's hungry. And was to disconnect. Nurse condescension was not a factor. She was not welcome or invited back in the room. I'm starting out my child's life, and we don't need that. And the thing is, I've kept the same energy. Josiah's 3, and I'll keep the same energy when he's 33. We're going to speak only what God says about him, and only what we have decided and are in agreement with. And if anybody knows Josiah, he definitely he definitely can advocate for himself because his mama has shown him the way. He is definitely assertive. He can tell you what he wants, doesn't want, likes, and doesn't like. But he is a sweet heart. He is gentle. He is kind. I get so many reports from his school of his teachers telling me, oh, Josiah noticed that a child was upset. And so he went and sat next to his friend and patted his back or asked for a hug or told them it was okay or held their hand. Like, that's not aggressive. And we're not doing that. Yesterday I read Oh, the Places You'll Go. And it's a book of tons and tons of affirmations. And we love it when we talk about all the things and all the ways that our children are amazing. And I want us to have the same energy about making sure we're speaking life and requiring of others that they speak life or they don't speak at all. Okay? I don't know why I felt the need to come on and share that. Oh, I know why I felt the need to come and share that. We are knee deep in our summer, and some of our children are still in summer school or they'll be transitioning. They're in vacation Bible school or some kind of additional extracurricular program. And I want you just to be mindful, and I want you just to be paying attention, be alert, and be listening to what others are speaking over your child and who's the best example of how to talk to and how to speak to and how to work with and how to love on your child. You are parent. You are the game changer. So anytime that I notice people might be getting a little relaxed about how they speaking to or about Josiah, I check myself, correct myself, correct them. It's important because the words that we speak are powerful. The words that we speak have I already said powerful. They have power. They carry weight, and they influence how our children show up in the world, how they feel about themselves, how they treat others, how they thrive, and how they learn. And many of you are following or you're watching this because you're concerned about your child's learning, their education, their academics, their social, emotional growth and development. And let me tell you that the words that they hear about who they are matter. It mattered in the womb. So we spoke and we listened to, I spoke to Josiah and we listened to good music. In fact, we listened to Refiner by Maverick City featuring, I think it was, or is it just Chandler Moore? Chandler Moore and Stephanie, let me see, the Refiner. I would play it, but Facebook and them will try to block it. So we're not going to do that. The Refiner. Okay. It's called Refiner by Maverick City Music, Chandler Moore, and Stephanie Gretzinger. Listen to that song. I'm not exaggerating. Every day on repeat. Every day. It was a reminder that God was refining me in the process. Those words gave me power and spoke life. The words that you speak over your child gives them power. It speaks life. Speak life. Speak life. Speak life. And correct anyone who doesn't understand. That's the assignment. We're only speaking life. Unfortunately, I got one more story. I'm not going to tell it today, but if you watch this or you catch the replay, I would love for you to share either an example of when you had to correct someone concerning your child, or a way that you can show up as your child's advocate with the language that you speak and allow others to speak. So comment, share, because I know it's not just me. Like I said, this was not surprising or alarming. When I spoke to the staff at the hospital, I let them know it was unacceptable. I let them know how huge a deal it was. And if I wasn't as consumed as I should have been with being a new mom and being super duper excited about my child, I would have followed it all the way up to the top of the chain. In fact, I made a few calls, and I did make a few calls and made sure that who needed to hear what happened heard what happened. So I invite you, I encourage you, I hope you feel inspired to stand 10 toes down for your child and make sure that people know we're only speaking life over our children. That's it. That's all. We're speaking life. We're speaking life. What are we speaking? We are speaking life. All right. I guess that is it. I'm going to unpin this here. I saw that we had people hop on and off. I'm going to have to figure out a way to get y'all engaged, because I love to see and feel the comments, but I hope that the message nonetheless was received and was for somebody. If you want to, I would love for you to like, share, comment, and turn your notifications on, because sis will be back. I'll be back to share more. Take care and watch your mouth.